Quality over quantity is very important to remember when you're putting together your application. It can be fairly short. They don't need to have tons of examples. You know, sometimes it's nice if you have a few letters of appreciation, but you don't need to include every single thing that you've worked on at the college.
Okay, when you put your packet together, most people do use a binder, and I would say this is probably a 1-inch binder. 3/4, 1 inch is a sufficient size. Having your name on the front cover, even if you want it, this binder doesn't have a slot for the spine that you can actually get into, but if it did, having your name in both places, so wherever the committee finds your binder on a shelf, it's easy to identify. And again, organizing the questions and answers in order from front to back. Some people, this is a personal preference, some people don't like individual plastic sleeves for each question because it's a glare on the lights. I did put mine in plastic sleeves because when you put the paper, when you hole punch the paper and you're 10 people are turning the pages, they're going to get loose, so you need to have some type of reinforcement.
Putting together the application and its presentation, it varies from person to person. I would have to say that most people that I have seen put the pages, the actual pages that they've typed for the application in some kind of plastic pages in a binder. If some support materials are necessary, those are included in the appropriate section with a question in a separate plastic sleeve. Another thing that's really important is not to assume that there's a computer in the room where people are reviewing applications. In a lot of instances, it's a secured location, the files can't leave that area. So unless someone is able to write down a huge link and go back to their desk and do that, it becomes a little bit cumbersome with links to online content. So just something to keep in mind. I would say if it's important to include electronic information, which it could be, to think about the possibilities of how you could present that information. Is it possible to do a screenshot and print that out? Are there other ways to present that information? I would say electronic content is probably the last resort since people may not have access to a computer while they're reviewing the application, that's when it would be really important to review that content.
Other things to do, make sure you have a current evaluation in your file, your professional file. You don't have to include your evaluation in your packet.
Over and over again is, we wish there was an up-to-date evaluation in this file. We wish there was more than one teaching evaluation. So an important thing would be to make sure that your evaluations are in your professional file.
Read through it, obviously check for typos, make sure you haven't left things out. Let someone else read your packet, preferably someone that either has accomplished tenure and or they're on the tenure committee before you turn it in. They've been on it. You can't give it to someone that's on the committee at the time. But letting them read through it and give you feedback on how you've organized it. Make sure you have answered every question. Every question is in order, like I said, based on your years of service. And make sure that you have that final page where you have to sign it. Sometimes people are so happy to complete it, they forget to sign it. And date when they've turned it in. Usually the office where you turn it in, they're going to date it. They're going to stamp it the day you've turned it in. Turn it in early or the day of. Don't turn it in late.